Hi, everyone. Welcome to day 4 of Coded Beats Club. We are going to be doing the Code Your Beat challenge. In order to do today's activity, you are going to need to do day 3s. If you did day 3s, you should have your screenshot or your drawing of the beat that you made on day 3. Okay, so the first thing you're going to do is you're going to sign into your TunePad Club account. Now, you make sure it's club, because if it's live, that's another form of the TunePad website we're using. We're using TunePad Club for this class. So you should already have an account. If you don't, sign up for an account with your Gmail. After you make an account, you are going to press on New Project. After you press on New Project, this is what you are going to get. You are going to change your new jam session to Code Your Beat activity, or you can do Code Your Beat challenge. And then you are going to press on Add Cell and make sure you press drums. After you press drums, I'm going to erase the new because I'm just doing drums overall. And now you should be pulling up your beat from day 3. Okay, so I pulled up my beat on TunePad Beat Composer because it's still saved. You should have yours on a piece of paper, or you can retype it back into your TunePad Composer if you can. Now, we are first going to start with coding the first line. If you look at my mouse, follow my mouse, this first line, we're going to code. Now, we're going to start with the first one. Now, as you can see, as I'm putting my mouse over the first shaded green beat, below, there's the Python code to play that beat. Now, I'm going to write that into my project. So first, I'm going to write kicks because we are coding kicks, the kicks line of this beat. Now, as you start coding each instrument, you want to keep an eye on what number is shown here, because that's the number you're going to end up putting in your coding. Make sure the N is capitalized because it won't play if it's not. So that's my first beat. Now, the 0 comes from the 0 shown here, kick 0. So that is the kick being played right here. And then this 0.25 that I wrote right here represents 1/4 of this beat, because 0.25 is 1/4 of one whole whole. So this is 1/4 of my beat. Now, I'm going to continue coding this. So this is an empty square. Because it's an empty square, it is a rest. And it is a rest for 1/4. So my coding is shown right here at the bottom for this. I'm going to type that right here. Now, if you guys are doing this off a piece of paper, it should be the same for you. If you're writing kick 0, you're going to, you're going to do play note and then the instrument that you are representing right here, that number, and then you're going to do beats equals 0.25, because each square equals 1/4 of a beat, so even the rest equals 1/4. I'm going to continue doing it. I have another beat right here. Now, as I get here to my next rest, there's 7 squares, which means there's 7 squares worth of 1/4 of rest. So when I type in my code for this, I'm going to do rest 0.25 asterisk 7, because that's how many squares there are that are empty, that are playing rest. Now, when you do that, you can multiply 0.25 times 7 and type in that number here instead of doing the asterisk and 7, but it is a lot easier to code when you're doing asterisk and 7. So I'm going to continue. I have 7, then I have 2 play notes. Now, as you see, as I'm coding this part right here, all of them are 0 because I'm only coding the kick line right now. Oh, I'm playing this note twice. Make sure you write your comma, because if you don't write the comma, it's not going to play as well. The comma right here after the number of the instrument you are playing. Then I have 4 empty lines. I think because it ends with that, I don't have to code it. Let me make sure. Nope, I don't have to write that because that's the ending of that. So now as I'm moving on to the next instrument I'm going to play, which is my snare right here, as I'm moving on to my snare drum right here, I'm going to write this line of coding. Oh, first I'm going to write hashtag snares, which is number 2. And I'm going to write move to 0. And this is going to force the coding I write here to start from the beginning. Okay, so I went ahead and I coded the rest of the snare line and the hat line and the clap line. And so when you're coding your beat, you want to follow each line from left to right, and you want to keep an eye on the Python coding at the bottom in the gray that's shown right here to help you, or you want to make sure that when you're coding it, you put the instrument you're using. So snare would be 2. Snare would be 2 right here. On line 12, you want to make sure you put the instrument 2 and then beats equals 0.25. Now I also, with the move to Python code, I put hashtag rewind to beginning. So I did add a few comments on the sides to guarantee that I know what this coding on line 11 means, and to remind me that move to is rewinding back to the beginning. So I continue to do that for the claps on line 16 and also the hats on line 23. And then I kind of stopped with my comments here. But use comments to help guide you if need be, to remind you how many squares are rests. As I see here, there's an asterisk on line 11 times 4 because there's 4 beats that are empty and that are not playing. So this hashtag skip 4 gray squares is reminding me that those are being skipped and are not being played an actual beat, but are staying empty. So you want to use these techniques to help you code yours. Now there is another way to code your beat. If you don't want to do it that way, you can go line by line vertically. So I would code this first, then I would code this first. So since starting, I would put play note 0, comma, beats equals 0.25, and then I would put a rest for this. And then right here, I would want to code both my hat and the kick at the same time. And when you do that, you want to make sure, so right here on line 4, I'm putting it in a list. And so in a list guarantees that these 2 instruments are being played at the same time. So the 0 on the 4, it's my kick and my hat being played at the same time. And so you want to do a comma, bracket, one of the instruments you're choosing, comma, then the other instrument you're playing, and then bracket, comma, beats equals 0.25, parentheses. And so here in the comments, it does say kick and hat to remind me which 2 instruments are being played at the same time. Now, when you do this, if you do choose to code this way instead by lists and parentheses, you want to make sure that you close your parentheses at the end of the note right here, you start it, and then at the end of 0.25 that you close it. And then also same thing with your brackets. Or because if you don't close it, you're going to have an error and you probably won't play it. Now you're going to do the same thing for your beat following. You can either follow it line like this from line to line for each instrument, or you can do it the way I just showed, where you do this first, then this, and then you guarantee that you code both of these beats at the same time. And then rest here since there's nothing. And since there's a beat here, I would make sure to just write in code for this snare. So use the same techniques to code yours. I'm going to play this just so you can hear how it sounds. Now, both of these are the same. Just want to make sure. This is just the coding for the other method, and I'm going to show it here just in case if you want to look back on this to figure out how I coded this. But that's it for today. Go ahead and code your beat. We can't wait to hear what you guys come up with and what you guys make. If you can join us for our live sessions, we'd be lucky to see you and happy to see you. If you can't, keep on doing this asynchronously and keep an eye out for day 5. Bye, guys.